We are now recording. All right, so welcome to Libbytown Neighborhood Association meeting on Wednesday, September 30th, 2020. I'm going to introduce myself, and the other board members can introduce themselves, and then we'll go around. And I find it easier on Zoom to call out someone's name and have them introduce themselves rather than trying to figure out how to go in clockwise order, because it looks different to everyone. So my name is Maureen Morse. I live on Whitney Avenue, and I'm the chairperson of the association. And we'll go with Fred next.
Yeah, I'm Fred Dillon. I live on Davis Street, and I am the secretary of the Neighborhood Association.
And then Maeve.
I'm Maeve Pistrang. I live on Bolton Street, and I'm the vice chair.
And Damon.
You're muted, Damon.
He's muted himself. Well.
All right, here I am. Yep.
There he is.
I'm treasurer, live on Bolton Street.
Excellent. And then we'll start with Stacy.
I'm Stacy Hung. I am a resident of Portland. I live on Summit Street. I'm running for school board at large.
And Yusuf.
My name's Yusuf. I live in Marginal Way. I'm running for Portland School Board at large.
And Nyla.
Hi, my name is Nyla, and I live on Oxford Street, and I'm also running for school board at large.
Excellent. And Maya just arrived. If you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Maya Lena. I'm the president of the Nason's Corner Neighborhood Association, so I don't live in Libbytown, but close by.
Friend of the group. All right. And I think Zach just logged on, but he doesn't have his camera. Zach, are you there? No, there he is. Zach, do you want to introduce yourself?
Zach Berowitz, Hunter Street. Oh, there, I'm less.
All right.
And past chair of this committee.
Excellent. So I guess we'll start with our school board members. Oh, and Eric, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. Eric, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, Eric Anderson. I live on Douglas Street.
Excellent. Sorry, I'm a little bit frazzled right now, but I'll try to keep it organized. So I guess we'll start with Stacy, who logged on first, and give you just an opportunity to talk about why it is that you're running for school board, and tell us a little bit about your campaign and anything you want us to know at the polls.
Yeah, I am a Portland, I would call myself sort of a townie. I've been born and raised here. My whole family goes back from generations. I have two kids that are in the Portland public schools. One is at Lyman Moore Middle School and one's at Portland High School. And I was a teacher for 10 years. I taught middle school health. And then I went back to nursing school and decided I wanted to do something more with my life and with kids. And I became a pediatric nurse at Barbara Bush Children's Hospital. So I was there for 4 years. And now I am putting a marriage between the two, and I am a high school nurse. I love working with kids, and I got involved with the school board because I just felt like this is a good time for me to jump in. I don't know why. It seems to be like a really hot political time of life right now, but I just felt like I wanted to run and be part of a system that helps all of the kids in the district. So I've spent my entire life working with them, and why not do this next step?
I have a quick question for the three of you. So how many at-large seats are available? Is it just one, or are there more than one? Or just a single seat?
Just
Okay.
one.
Yeah, okay.
I cannot hear you.
Maureen, you're muted.
Oh.
Sorry, there's like a jackhammer going on outside for some reason. So Yusuf, if you want to go next and introduce yourself and talk about your campaign and why you're running for school board.
Hi, my name is Yusuf. I was born and raised in Somalia. I fled Somalia when the civil war happened and lived in Syria sometime, and then resettled in Seattle, Washington, where I went to school and graduated. I currently work as a mental health case manager at Gateway Community Services. I work with both adults and children, including Portland Public School students and their families. I also work with new immigrants, navigate the system and understand the education system. I help youth to find mentorship opportunities. And as a mental health caseworker, I have seen and understand the hardship at home, whatever it might look like, impact the students and their behavior at school. It can show itself in many ways, whether a student is distracted, disengaged, or acting out. And that job gave me tremendous insight about family dynamic, school system, and things that help people back. And that what motivates me to run for office. So I will be able to work collaboratively with the superintendent, school board, district leadership, and the community at large to make Portland Public Schools safe and welcoming environment for all students. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm talking again with my mute on. Thank you very much. That's awesome. And Nyla, if you want to go now also and talk about your campaign and why you're running for school board.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And so my name is Nyla. I guess you could say I grew up in Portland. I moved here when I was 9 years old from Ethiopia. My parents are South Sudanese, but they moved to Ethiopia during the Ethiopian or the South Sudanese Civil War in the 90s. I went to Portland Public School Systems. So I went to Riverton, or it's now Talbot Community School. And I went to Lincoln Middle School, and I went to Deering High School. So with those experiences that I had during those times participating in the school system, I felt like I have experiences that the school board can really use, and that school board can really utilize to really create real and tangible change. I went to USM and studied political science and got a minor and got a degree in political science and a minor in race and ethnic studies. So I feel like I can really utilize that education and the experience that I have as a Black woman in this society to really create space for the 47% of Black students in our school system. There are some key things I really want to try to attain. One, if I get elected, I really want to focus on getting COVID-19 resources for students, because I know that, like, when I was going to school, my mom she really wasn't a part of my schooling. And there was such a big barrier between her and the school system because of her inability to speak English, her being a first-generation immigrant and not really understanding the system. It created such a huge barrier for her to be involved in my schooling that I had to do a lot of that work by myself. So I feel like if we can create resources where we're bridging gaps between parents and the school system, we can really try to, like, help and serve that community that is most vulnerable to a lot of COVID-19. Sorry, I'm like blabbering, but they in Portland, the marginalized communities that are most impacted by COVID-19 are communities of color. So if we really want to protect our kids, we need to figure out a way to educate their parents so that they can best help them and best prepare them for this pandemic. I also really want to focus on getting more restorative justice work in the school system, because a lot of the disciplinary policies are really hurting our students, and they're not really helping them they're not really helping them learn. And I want to figure out a way to create a more restorative approach to our disciplinary policies. And I want kids to be able to, instead of being sent home to spaces where they're not safe, where they might be exposed to further harm or further harm, I want them to also be or also have a space to hold while they might have disciplinary issues, or while they might be going through some behavioral issues. The main thing I really want to do, though, is I want to create training aspects for teachers, because I feel like we can't create safe spaces in our schools if we're not constantly training our teachers to uphold those spaces and to create those spaces within their classrooms. So yeah, those are a couple things. Sorry I'm blabbering and going all over the place, but thanks for giving me this time, and I will give it back to you, Maureen.
Thank you so much. I appreciate everyone coming out and talking about themselves. Does anyone have any questions for any of the, or all of the school board candidates? All right.
Yeah, I do. I guess first I'm curious, what is the political affiliation each of you have, and your political ideology? So which political party do you belong to, if you belong to one?
Go for it.
I've been unaffiliated since 1996, so I consider myself an independent, but Maine doesn't have a registered independent. They have like an independent Green Party, but they don't acknowledge an actual national independent party.
And I'm sorry, would you like
Yeah, I can go.
Yeah.
I guess I'm registered as a Democrat, but I wouldn't necessarily fully associate. I think I would say I am leaning more towards the Green Party. But yeah.
And Yusuf?
Yes, I'm also registered as a Democrat, but I think the position that we're running is bipartisan, and I'm not affiliated with the specific ideas. So.
Okay. Any other questions?
Any thoughts about how community policing fits into the school system, given all the, all the upheaval that we've had nationally, and whether or not what role the law enforcement might play in creating or creating the safe spaces that that were mentioned earlier, or maybe, I don't know if exacerbating them is the right word, but I'd be interested in what your thoughts are on that topic.
I can go first, since I've kind of had personal experiences with SROs. I think in this country, I think we all just need to reevaluate what policing means and what it looks like. But me personally, with what I've experienced, I really don't think they belong in schools, just because the aspect of a police officer is already creating the space of like there's danger around, right? Like they're here to kind of calm the danger. And if we want to kind of uplift our students, we don't want to give them the idea that they're that they have to like worry about this sense of like crime or like crime at school, or like criminality at school, because that's what they're doing. They're not there to necessarily like give community advice or be counselors, or really like kind of be a big brother to the students, or somebody that they can really rely on. Their main job is to uphold the law in the schools. So I don't think it's a space where police officers need to be. I think we should really think about the way we look at disciplinary actions and think of ways to better show up, I guess, for those students that are really struggling and that need more help with behavioral issues, that need that honestly like probably have a lot of other issues that are creating to why they're doing stuff, or why they're involved in criminal activity at school. But personally, from what I've experienced, even when I went to Deering, I witnessed an SRO arrest. I think he might have been a junior. I'm not entirely sure, but I was a freshman, and just that whole entire situation was very traumatizing for me because, one, I'm already an African American or a Black immigrant girl who is constantly being traumatized by this system. So seeing that like our school system, my school system, the high school I'm going to, is allowing a junior to get arrested and be taken to I'm pretty sure it's the detention center.
Center.
Yeah, at the time. And in the craziest thing is that kid was actually my neighbor, and he never ended up finishing school, and he has a lot of behavioral issues now. So and I mean, that's one example. There's actual science that shows that like there is a pipeline aspect of SROs where they're creating aspects of, I guess I wouldn't say creating, but yeah, I won't go to the pipeline aspect of it because that's a lot. But yeah, had that experience. There were times where I said this at one of the school board meetings, that an officer was frustrated with one of the girls that one of the fights that he was trying to break up. And because the girl had like used force with him, he then used force back with her. And it's just those spaces, I just feel like those spaces, we can't, one, the teachers won't necessarily know what's happening or how to deal with it. So they'll most likely just give that responsibility to the officer. And then the officer's job is to arrest and to make sure that this situation is, I guess, recorded and put into a space where like both parties can be dealt with. So it's like you can't expect them to hold their composure when they're being hit by a 15-year-old girl, but then we also can't expect them to then be aggressive, or like that little girl to then be exposed to a grown man being aggressive to her. So I just don't think they belong in the schools. And I also think having officers or having police officers in the school system is just re-traumatizing Black youth that already have to deal with with police brutality outside of the school, that already have to deal with the outcomes of living in an oppressive system. So I just feel like we need to, as a school system, like we have the resources to find restorative ways to deal with those issues instead of just kind of pushing policing into it. And that's my take.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm happy to speak next, if that's okay.
Sure.
I have a little bit of a different take on it. I work in a high school right now currently, and I've been actually trying to get an SRO in our building for several years. As the school nurse, I'm constantly dealing with kids that are, well, I wouldn't say constantly, and I don't like to air the dirty laundry of what happens in high schools necessarily, but I'm the one who's the first one to get called when the kid's overdosing in a locker room, or when the kids are drinking 40s in the student lounge. And then the police ultimately end up having to get called in, but the kids find ways to get around the building, and they're doing inappropriate, illegal things in the building, and we don't have enough manpower to actually have somebody in the hallways to make sure that kids are in safe spaces and going to classes and not doing things that they shouldn't be doing while they're in school. The Portland SRO thing that occurred, I was pretty vocal on trying to get some more information on that one. I run off data. So we were presented with data that sort of equalized itself out at our school board about the SROs. So to me, I just felt like I wanted more information if we are actually dealing with if our SROs are actually harmful to our students. I didn't feel that was presented enough to prove that the city of Portland has a big problem with our policing in our schools. To me, I see them more as a resource. They're an extra set of eyes and hands and somebody that the kids can talk to that they may not talk to a social worker, because maybe social workers are not, a comfort place for them, or maybe they're taught that that's not who they should speak to. But I'm open to, if we can show me that actually isn't where our direction is going, and that we would actually be just as fine having an extra person in the building that has a different set of skills outside of a police officer, then I'm open to it. But I didn't feel that we actually had that information at hand. And like I said, I deal firsthand with kids and they're doing illegal things, and I'm the one who has to pick up the pieces. So I could use an extra set of hands with somebody who's monitoring hallways and making sure they're safe.
Good, thank you.
Yeah. Do I go ahead?
Sure.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. I believe it should be a process that is engaging with the community, and that is in line with comprehensive plan. And when we are looking such policies, we want to look at these policies from an equity point of view. And we are understanding the holistic of such policies, and we don't want to look at it one side. We can look at it in general. And I think the school board made the decision, and what I like our democracy is that when we vote something, it's legally binding and we move on. And what I'm concerned in is bringing the community together. I really care about the safety and well-being of the students, but that decision has been made, and the more we come together and we are there for our students, the better we do. And for instance, we need to support the teachers and administrative team who are doing the hardest job. And we do have a lot of work to cover, a lot of needs. I work with youth mentorships and I listen to them, their concerns. I work with students with learning disabilities. I know a lot of families who are financially struggling that would need pre-kindergarten access, and so they can close that opportunity gap. So I think we do have a lot of work to do, and that takes all of us, all the community should be there for our students. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, does anyone have any other questions for any of the school board candidates?
I have one more if there's time.
Yeah, I think so.
I guess this question is for Stacy. So Equity in Portland Schools circulated an email with some statements you had made about Black Lives Matter, about how it hasn't ever actually helped the Black community, basically, and that it's primarily a tool to raise money for the Biden campaign. So it makes me wonder, are you supporting Trump in the election? And how would you like to address the statement about Black Lives Matter, and another statement you made about how nobody's talking about how, I think what you said was that, or your quote, police are 18 times more likely to be shot by a Black person than a Black person being shot by a cop. Blacks are also more likely to shoot and kill other Blacks than any other race against them. Why is this not being talked about? So do you care to address those statements and who you're supporting in the presidential election, please?
Sure. I actually just addressed this today on my Facebook page. Somebody asked me the same question, and I'm happy to have the opportunity to answer it. I am somebody who runs on data. And if we go back and we bring up the entire reform or the presentation that the school board offered for having an SRO in the building or to remove the SROs, they had a lot of statements that were made. And one of their statements was, we need to remove the SROs because Black Lives Matter. And then they said, Black Lives Matter. It went on to, I don't remember exactly the wording of it. They basically used that organization as a reason to get rid of police officers. I am focused on a local level, not a national. I'm not saying that there isn't a national issue going on, and I'd like to find out what's happening in our local schools because we're running for our local school board. I didn't know that, or didn't feel that we actually had an issue as big as that was being presented to us by our school board, and I wanted more information on it. The Black Lives Matter piece, if you go back to the whole quote in my rebuttal to what the school board offered, actually said, I am in full support of Black Lives, or an organization that supports Black lives and reform. I don't support an organization that is about violence, or the piece that got hijacked from this. I feel like there's a part of that organization that got politicized, and it's about divide, and it's about violence, or it has become that way, or at least that's what it's presented to us in the media. And so that part I struggle with. That was my statement on that. And then as far as my statistics goes, I also am a person of science. I have 2 science degrees. I have a degree in community health education and a nursing degree. So I base all of my decisions on science. And they were making it out as though all cops were bad. I was doing research to find out if that's actually what's going on. They also said all cops were racist. I actually have friends who are cops that are Black, that are in big cities, which kind of fights that whole concept. And so for me, I don't believe in blanket statements. I don't want to destroy an entire platform of a whole group of people, an entire profession based on some bad people that have been doing some bad things. So that's why I said, what's going on here? When I bring up, why is nobody talking about Blacks hurting Blacks? Black Lives Matter is not inserting themselves into cities
Can
where—
you stop calling African Americans Blacks? That's like literally offensive.
I'm sorry that you find that offensive. You did call yourself Black earlier, and I have a friend who's Jamaican.
I said Black.
Black.
You're saying Blacks. You're
Black people
with an S.
How should
it's
I
Black
say it?
people. Black
Oh,
people, African Americans. We're not Blacks. This is not the 1960s.
I apologize. I didn't know this. I'm learning every day.
Which is also why you don't know that Black Lives Matter is not a random group that is put up by random white people. So there's information that you don't have.
Okay. I'm not sure how you know this about me. So I'm not sure, Damon, we got a little sidetracked on your question.
Yeah, sure. So I guess to follow up, so you're saying that you can make blanket statements about Black Lives Matter because a very small element within it might advocate some more aggressive action in the streets, but you shouldn't do that about the police. And that seems like kind of a double standard to me. But I guess the thing I really wanted to know, so you mentioned something about the Biden campaign. Are you supporting Trump in this election? Yes or no?
I'm currently watching the debates. So as an independent, I like to watch all the debates and then make my decision. Plus, I do believe that
if you had to vote today, who would you vote for? I'm not gonna back down here. Pick one.
It's okay. Well, I don't feel that who I vote for in the presidential election should matter as a school board member.
It does matter because that reflects about your judgment as a person when you're making decisions for our community. So pick one. You have to vote right now.
No, I'm not picking one right now.
Well, okay then. I think that that tells us all we need to know. Thank you.
But that's
I
an
don't have any
assumption,
further
Damon,
I
because
don't have
why
any
am I
further
not allowed
questions.
to watch presidential elections and educate myself on how they present themselves to the people? And we still have 37 more days until the election, so I feel like I still have time to do my own research. Isn't that
If you're really undecided at this point, I mean, I think that tells us what we need to. That tells me what I need to know, and you know, we have other items to cover at this meeting. So I think you've addressed my question, and I think you've sort of shown that those statements were probably reflective of how you feel. So I'm, you know, I don't really have any questions. And maybe we should hear more from some of the other candidates before we move on to other agenda items, unless other members of the organization have follow-up questions, I guess. I'll leave it to Maureen to decide.
I have a question, at least one. A lot of talks about equity and inclusion. It would likely come down to programs, additional programs, funding. I was wondering what experience people have with the candidates have with budgets and budgeting, or if they don't have any specific experience with it, what do they expect to bring to that process?
I don't know if anyone wants to go first or has any.
I can go first. I don't have a lot of experience in budgeting, but I've assisted my coordinators with budgeting for our program. I work for Portland Public Health, so I've overseen how they budget for our program and how they're budgeting for our fiscal year. And I definitely won't say I'm like great with numbers or that I'm like super experienced, but I think that's something that like most people can learn on the way, and they just need to be given the space to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can go second. I think the budget is always a challenge topic, and I want to hear from people that are affected by, including families, teachers, and students. And if I'm elected as a board member, I think we need to have a dialogue about that, and we need to be transparent. I do have a great relationship with community organizations, and I know the school system will need a partnership with the community in general and community organizations. For instance, the pre-K classes, the school system partnership with private, because they don't have enough locations and enough buildings. So that kind of partnership can help the school budget. And I'm so excited to work with the superintendent and the school board member and learn from them so that we can advance the goals that we all care about. Thank you.
I can just say that my experience with the budget outside of doing my own home budget and being in a school is I know that I have my own office budget. And I also understand, I did some research because Portland has such a huge one, that Drummond and Woodson offers classes, since I wouldn't have a clue how to start working a multi-million-dollar budget for a school system with 7,000 students. I would sign right up for Drummond and Woodson's classes, learn how to do some budget financing for schools, and pick the brains of the people that are already on the school board and see how they do it. You would look at what's already presented, what the teachers are asking for, what's already funded, what hasn't been funded yet that they're still requesting, and then just sort of try to wiggle out what we need and what our community really wants.
All right, thank you. All right, any further questions from any of the association members? All right. Well, I would like to thank everyone for attending today and allowing us an opportunity to get to know you a little bit better. Do you have any places, websites or Facebook page or anywhere that people can see more information about your campaigns?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You go ahead, Yusuf.
Go ahead.
Okay. I my Facebook and Instagram are Nylat for a Change. It's kind of yeah, Nylat for a Change, and then my website is nylatforchange.com. So yes.
Yeah. I do have my Facebook, Yusuf for School Board at large, so you can check, and my Instagram, Yusuf Jala. Thank you.
I have stacyhang.com, and then I have Stacy Hang for School Board on Facebook.
Stacey, is your first name Stasey or just Y?
CEY.
EY, okay.
All right. Excellent. So we're going to move on. So you guys are welcome to stay if you want, but we probably should be talking about neighborhood stuff. But yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for having me. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you so much. All right. So to be honest, I don't have a whole lot of other agenda items. I've been kind of busy planning the candidates forum for next week. So I don't know if anyone else has anything that they wanted. I know, Zach, you had an agenda item that you wanted to discuss now. Maybe not.
Did I have an agenda item?
Yeah, did you tell me that you had an agenda item? I'm sorry, I can't remember.
Well, there's a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
One, when we have our next dress rehearsal, it'd be nice to have a few people, as both participants and as whatever observers. I mean, I forgot what they're
Panelists, maybe, or participants.
Yeah.
No. Audience
so that we
members.
can test all the functionalities. So and then we also wanted to have someone to be a tech support person on the call.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Anderson's name was mentioned. So he'd have to be on the call.
I love tech support more than anything else, Zach.
Thank you, Eric.
Oh, and Eric, did you know that it isn't tech, T-E-C-H, it's text, T-E-X-T?
Text support. Sweet. I'm good at texting people.
Good. All right, it's tech text. Sorry.
So yeah, basically there's a lot of functions and things. So we want to get the tech, be pretty comfortable with the tech before the event, because nothing would sort of turn people off than the technical issues. There's that.
Yeah, did we have a
Is there
data
a planning
people
committee that are folks who I should talk to? Is that you?
Basically Zach and me. And Fred. And David.
Yeah, nominally me.
Yeah.
Loop me in.
Yeah.
Maybe you
Do
can
you
join
know?
too if you want.
Yeah,
Do we have a date that we wanted
I'll
to
be
do?
an audience.
Oh, sweet.
Test
All right.
audience.
I can
Amy's
have
right here too. She can. She's lurking. We'll get her to do it too.
There was an exciting moment that was happening there, and I flocked to the screen.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, we should all talk about that too. But all right. So should we pick a day now?
Yes.
Yeah,
We would do it at like 8:45 at night,
Yeah.
when it would cut into Netflix, but otherwise people can be pretty free.
as long as it's not Thursday night, tomorrow night, I mean. I don't know. What nights work for people?
I don't have anything scheduled at that time besides sleeping, so
Yeah.
any night.
I don't know, what do you think?
I'm likewise wide open at that time.
How about Friday night? Wouldn't that be fun?
Woohoo!
What a way to spend a Friday night.
We can drink while we do it, right?
Well,
Nobody's driving.
Sure.
It'll be a date. All right, Friday night. What do we say? 8:45.
8:45 it is.
All right. Does that work for you, Damon, with baby things?
Yeah. Do you want so did you want you and Zach to be the presenters and the rest of us to pretend to be in the audience this time?
Yeah. So basically, I don't know if we want to do more panelist stuff, because basically we'll be like the panelists, and so yeah, the audience stuff. I just want to know how like interactive the audience can be and how to do the settings to make it not happen. Maybe.
We're using Zoom just to be.
Zoom, yeah. It's in webinar format though, so people can attend, but you don't see everyone. You only see the panelists. It's kind of like when you go to a city council meeting. It'll be similar to that. But I haven't figured out all the little. There's just more to it than a regular Zoom meeting, so I'm still kind of. It's hard to figure it all out until you can actually see it. So,
Maureen,
it should be brief.
Maureen, I disagree. I think some people should be panelists, so we can really get them.
Okay. So who wants to be a panelist? Fred, you want to be a panelist?
Yeah, well, we'll decide that later. But
yeah, it'll be on your invite. Basically, I'll send out webinar invites, and there's separate invites for panelists and guests. So whatever invite you get, just click on the link, and you'll be there.
We can do multiple devices too, if that's helpful.
Yeah, it might be. I'll see if my husband can get on his Zoom, which he got locked out of somehow, because he can probably.
It'll be like Secret Hitler, basically.
What?
So we'll say Friday night. I'll send out an invite for that later tonight after I set up the meeting. And it shouldn't take too long. I want to practice sharing my screen and stuff too, and see how it works with that interface. So.
Yeah. Oh, we got to get all those pictures and stuff.
Yeah, I need to put them into a document, so I'll work on doing that.
Yeah. I'll try to get you some more over the weekend.
Yeah, I needed this weekend. I'm going to try to go get a couple more next time I have time to go downtown, because we don't have a lot of downtown stuff. So.
Yeah.
Since it's not just our district, that's right. So yeah, that works. Thank you. It shouldn't take too long, I hope. Won't cut into too much of your Netflix time or sleep time.
And something that occurred to me, there's a the new grocery store where the 7-Eleven used to be, across from Punky's and GNTN. So I went in there. They're Pakistani, and it's like, many other ethnic grocery stores. They want to like serve the community, but they don't know what. They only know, the foods that they have. The shelves are sort of strangely stocked, understocked. And kind of sort of random. Like you'll have like Lay's potato chips next to mango pickle and stuff. So
they go perfectly together, I think.
Making me hungry, Zach.
But there's like a real opportunity for everyone who lives nearby, because they do have a pretty good produce section right now. And then the people at Princeton Pines, and if they can start getting a wide variety of ethnic foods as well as normal foods, there's quite a lot of people that they could serve, and and it'd be a great benefit for everyone. So anyway, I that's sort of my piece on that. I'd like to help them out in some way. I'm not really sure how. Passing out flyers at Princeton Pines on their behalf or something like that. I don't know, but I just want to sort of throw that out.
I was thinking of going over there and seeing if the owner wanted to stand for a photograph and take some pictures of stuff and put it on Instagram and Facebook too, just that they're near them. I work across from there. I've been meaning to stop by, I just haven't had time.
That's a great idea. I think we should welcome new small businesses to the community, and that's a great way to do it.
Yeah. At the cat doctor, we're always happy when more food comes to our general vicinity. So yeah, so I'll do that. I'll introduce myself and see if he's interested in. I did that over at Burundi Star. I took her picture and put it up on Instagram, and she liked it and put it in her Instagram story. So, I mean, we don't have a ton of followers, but every little helps.
How is it? Have you had their I hear their coffee's really good, but
Oh, it's good, and they have super good pastries. We got these like shortbread cookies with fudge on them. Oh my god! Like that. I mean, she bakes her own. I keep missing. She makes her own like meat like dumplings, but I keep missing them. But she gets pastries in from another bakery, and then she has the coffee's really nice. And
nice. Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah, she
It's
actually.
the 1010 pie baker.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Normoto
Normoto Bakery, I think it's called. And the guy that taught her to roast coffee is actually a friend of mine who lives in Biddeford, because she wanted to learn, and she said she went around and like she went to CBD and they were like no, and then she was like, "Will you teach me?" And he was like, "Sure." So it's a nice kind of neighborhood story.
Nice.
But yeah, so I'll do that with the market over there, probably this weekend if I can make it over there.
Good.
So I'll put
Yeah,
up things to do.
I remember being in a, I think it was a Somali grocery store, and there was a catalog from some importer of all sorts of ethnic foods. And, I was like, oh, wow, this is awesome. This, little pamphlet with everything on there. I asked this guy if he had it. He had no idea what it was. He goes, but give me a list give me a list of all the foods and I'll get them. I was like, well, no.
Yeah, I used to live right near a store like that. It was called 9 Red Pearls, and it had the weirdest amount of stuff. And it had like these huge bags of like rice and dried beans for so cheap. And you could get like yeast in a brick, like a cake of yeast, which was really cool. But
yeah, remember? Well,
you can also get potato chips. Yeah.
Mitfeep Market on Washington Avenue. They've been closed a few years. They were like the most successful. It was mostly Southeast Asian, but they had lots of African stuff, lots of South American. So all those people coming in there. And then she moved out to the Brighton Avenue, to Nason's Corner, because she thought that having more parking would be better for her business. And never opened, and so it all came crashing down. But this place has plenty of parking. And with JPN right across the street, it makes it a little, a hub. Portland's version of a hub.